Hello everybody and welcome back to Juno New Origins, where last episode we ran out of electric charge and had to get it recharged. As you can see, it is recharged. It was actually recharged before I finished the credits last episode, but it caused a bunch of flickering to be warping as fast as we were, and I wasn't a big fan of that for the photosensitive viewers that may exist out there. So that happened pretty much off camera as soon as I realized that was occurring, and we just need to make our way over to this checkpoint. So we're about 6 kilometers away. This is the last checkpoint that we need to go to. We're currently slightly upside down, but it's fine. This vehicle is extraordinarily robust. Okay, I guess we're going this way now. Sure. Like I said previously, this thing is like driving the Mako. You just kind of go the direction that it decides that you're going to go, and that's your new destination. You just got to go with it. So I think we need to go up and around this mountain here. So taking this path up here looks like a pretty decent path, all things considered. And then we're just going to need to lose some altitude, which is, of course, very easy to do. Couldn't have any real problem. I wonder what terminal velocity is in this thing. Would it survive just being dropped? Surely not. Surely terminal velocity would be like 150 or 200 meters per second, right? But I have no idea. Okay, this is not the direction I want to be going right now, but sure. I guess we're going this way. Cool. Once we get to these very steep surfaces, the turning is definitely a little too much. I wish that there was well, I suppose I could use some sort of analog input for the turning rather than the digital input that I'm using right now with the keyboard. I'm using the keyboard for the moment, and that just means that either you're turning or you're not, right? It's binary. It's on or off. So an analog input might be better for that, to prevent things like this. Okay, let's try that again. I'm assuming this game would have some sort of controller support. Or something with, like, joysticks or something. Some sort of analog input. Presumably. But for the time being, this is fine. So I'm just thinking about what path we might want to take here. This is some very craggy terrain here. We might want to go down and try to make our way up this way, up and around like that. Alternatively, we might want to just try to go up and over this, although I have a sneaking suspicion that that's going to be awkward. But if it is, that's not the end of the world. Oh, we're upside right now. Cool. Excellent. I have to say, the physics of driving in this game are pretty questionable. But it's fine. But here you can really see how low res the terrain is. Like, look how jagged that is. Like these very sharp corners here. Very indicative of low res terrain. And that's a big part of the reason why the driving is so janky. Okay, let's make our way out here. If we fall, we fall. But I'm going to try to maintain as much... Ooh, that's exciting. I'm going to try to maintain as much altitude as we can here throughout this. You'll notice I'm not doing this on 2x. This is, I think, way too craggy of terrain for 2x. If it was much flatter, I would be on 2x right now. But we have so much traction in this thing. It's absurd. Okay. Ooh, that's going to be spicy. Okay, so that was exciting. But not the end of the world. Let's continue moving. Maybe not quite like that. The reason why that happens, I think, is because we don't have gravity pulling us down quite as much when we're at those weird angles like that, when we're, like, almost vertical on these cliffs. And when one of our wheels loses contact, which happens because of how jagged the terrain is, I think that's what causes this to happen, is one of the wheels losing contact, and then things go a bit haywire. Our solar panel array was taking damage. That's interesting. I don't know how that happened, but it's not all that relevant. That said, I just noticed we're at 52% battery right now. We might have to do another recharge cycle, which is not the end of the world. But I definitely see why they recommended some sort of a hybrid flight approach for this. I get it, but I still think that this is the most time-efficient way for us to do this. Because to build a hybrid flight machine for that and to learn how to fly it is going to require quite a lot more episodes than just doing this. So I think that in terms of like long-term time efficiency, this is the way to go. So right now, we're at 50% battery, and we're about 3 kilometers away. So we've gotten about half of the distance here on half of the battery. That is due to just how rough this terrain is. We got a lot further in the last episode on our battery charge, so that is understood. Okay. So let's just continue to proceed for now. And the question is, what is this looking like? Okay, I want to be on the other side of this mountain for sure. So we're going to head down over here. I'm holding the brake for right now, but who knows if that will have an effect. Apparently it does. Good to know. And I want to just bring us up and around over this way. We're upside down right now, so I have to remember controls are fully mirrored at this point. Okay. I'm still not sure exactly where this checkpoint is. Looks like it's up this pass, is my guess. So I think we need to go down here. And I'm going to be running the brakes whenever we're grounded. Just trying to keep us moving a little bit more slowly as we go down here. Emphasis on little. But I'd like to lose some speed wherever possible. Descending in this thing tends to be quite awkward. Okay, at this point, I think we're pretty safe. So we just need to make our way down here. We're still upside down, of course. And we're moving along pretty good here because we're so downhill, we're getting a lot of speed while not burning battery. And that's very good for us if we don't want to have another charge cycle. Okay, now we're going this direction. Noted. So I kind of want to be going this way. This is fine. Okay. Wonderful. So you can see that our battery is draining fairly swiftly as we go through this. We are getting some amount of recharge through our solar panels here, but they're not tremendously efficient because of their positioning. Oh, okay. I guess we're upside right now. Beautiful. Well, that's one way to do things. Sure. We're only about 700 meters away from the final checkpoint, so this is looking good. We've got 40% battery remaining. We've got more than enough to get there. That downhill portion carried us a good long ways with very little battery charge. Excellent. Okay, this is very awkward here. We just had a solar panel array explode? Sure, I don't know how it hit. But it doesn't matter. I don't know how it hit anything. Like, that should not be physically possible, but whatever. We'll just make our way to the checkpoint, and it is fine. So we now know that it's possible for the solar panel arrays to get damaged with this design, but it's very, very robust regardless. We could also put a solar panel here, and there's that contract completed, complete with 20 tech points. So let's go ahead and recover this craft, and that is complete. Okay, so a couple of things that we could think about doing is putting a solar panel, like here, right? Except moving it up a little bit. Not what I wanted to do. So we would grab this guy, and we would move this up slightly and place that about there, so that it's kind of within the canopy, right? At least, sort of. I would want to grab this here, and we'd change this length to be a little longer. And then we would just change its position to be about there or so. Now, ideally, we would taper it, but I guess it's fine. So do we want to even have this canopy? Can we remove just the canopy? Actually, yes. So we would remove the canopy. Then this, I would be interested in having Radial X2 symmetry. So we'd have a solar panel facing upward that would fit, well, that would help us regenerate a little bit faster, like that. And we know that we don't need to move this down if we don't have a canopy. So it should be something like this. That would be what we would need. Let's go ahead and save that as our off-road car. And let's exit the designer, because now we need to see what else we need. Well, in the tech tree, we know that we're going to need more tech points, because we need to go here. We need 110, and we've got 67. So, what else can we get? Ah! A new location, the DSC Westward Runway. So we should definitely grab this. We need to launch a new craft, launch with the supplies container, go to a ground station, leave the payload on the ground, detach everything from the container, and must be completed within 120 days. Interesting. I'm going to accept that. That's going to unlock us a couple of new runways at the DSC. So that seems reasonably fine. So I guess now, this sounds like this is a ground delivery to me. So let's see what we've got in here. Okay, so this is our... That's a shipping crate. Okay. That's going to be interesting to deliver. I almost feel like we need to make like a trailer for that. I don't think there's anything like a ball and socket joint in here, which would be ideal. But what we could do is we could put a strut back here. And this is going to be very, very straight and flat, right? So that's not necessarily what we want, but I think I'm going to duplicate this guy to use as a base here. And we're going to have this be out like this. What is the overall length of this? I don't know, but I would like to have this be rotated to be something like this. And then we can use it as a bit of a measuring stick, and we can have this be like that. And then the structural panel, I would like to have be at 180. And I want to rotate it to be something like this. So I want to lay it down flat, and then I want to move it to be... That's really awkward. I don't want to move it quite like that. Okay. This is very, very awkward. So, I want to move this guy out, but the problem here is this can move in 3D space. I don't want it to move in 3D space. I want it to move axis aligned, like this. So, you know, that's awkward. This is the overall thickness, which would be fine. I guess we can just have this be, like, out over here like this, right? And then we would position this up over here, rotate it. It kind of looks like a wing right now, which is not what we want. I want to rotate it like that, and then bring it in like so. Make it nice and flat. And then this would come out over here. As far as the overall thickness goes, well, we definitely don't have this at the proper rotation here. There we go. Something like that. Then we would need to set the width on this to be approximately correct. Just max that out, basically. Yeah, something like that. And then we'd place this on it like that. Then I would grab these, which we're basically using as axles right now. And we'd have one here, and then we'd have one out over here. And then I would grab these existing wheels, put on one like that. I have no idea if that's attached correctly. This is not where I want this to go. I want this to be back here. Thank you very much. And not at that angle. Yeah, about like that. Okay, so these are going to need to be attached down here, right? And that would mean that they would then need to be extended out here to be something kind of like this or so. There we go. But I don't know if that's the correct angle. I think it's close enough. And then have that be like that. Okay. So then we get rid of this, duplicate this, and that would come out over here at 90 degrees. There we go. And then we would just place this guy on like so. Okay, now we would duplicate this around, and that's definitely a little bit slanted, but I don't think it really matters that much. So we would mirror that, and then we would mirror this. Not like that, actually. This is the wrong thing selected, I think. We need to select this. There we go. That's a little bit better. So now the question is, do these have steering to them? Okay, I don't want these to turn as of right now. So no turning angle there. And that should be reasonably fine. The question is, how are we then going to deliver this, right? How are we going to get this off of this trailer, essentially? Well, for the moment, let's see if this even works. So let's put this on the DSC secondary runway for right now. Okay, the ground station is 1,000 kilometers away. Oh. Okay, so that means that they want us to deliver this by air. That's going to significantly complicate things. No doubt about that. I'm wondering if this is attached. It's not really moving, is it? Okay, that's noted. Huh, our turning isn't very exciting. Yeah, that's not going all that well. So, I mean, it was an interesting idea until I discovered that we're gonna have significant problems with this. Specifically, the problem that we're going to have... Well, for one thing, this really doesn't like to turn. But the problem that we're going to have is delivering this has to go by sea. This is extraordinarily heavy, I assume. So we could try to ship it by sea and then deliver it like this. That would be like the smart way to move a shipping container like this, is to take it over on a boat. And then have a truck pull it off of the boat, or rather a crane pull it off of a boat and place it onto the truck. And then we would use the truck to drive it to its final destination once we're on the correct landmass. That would be the quote-unquote right way to do this. The turning on this is so awkward. So what I'm wondering right now is, if we put this into the water, what happens? Do we float? Do we have any capacity whatsoever to create any sort of movement in the water? Are we going to be driving around on the ocean floor? That's right out. We're definitely not going to want to do that. So for now, we're just doing it this way. This has some significant issues in that it doesn't... I think these front wheels are elevated off the ground. I think that's the core issue here. I wish that this was a flexible joint as well. That would be nice. But for the moment, let's just take this over to the water and see what happens. I'm 99% sure this is a terrible idea. But I'm thinking a boat is the way to go. And then a truck once we get to our destination. Because looking at this, I mean, we're going to have to go inland quite a ways, for sure. We could deliver it via rocket. That would definitely be interesting. Okay, I mean, we got 10 tech points for this. That's something. But we're driving around on the surface of the ocean here. We sunk to the bottom, and I'm not surprised about that. So let's just recover this craft. Oh, it cannot be recovered because it's moving too fast. Okay, we'll bring it to a halt. Now we'll recover it. I want to recover it specifically because I want those 10 tech points. So that's fine at this point. Then we could build a boat that ferries this. But I do want to make sure that our height is not an issue, which it currently is. So I want to grab this right here. And I want to go into here where we can grab its Y position of -0.737. So I want to grab that, and then I want to grab this, and that is at the exact same Y position. Interesting. 0.761 and 0.751. Okay, that's going to be the issue, I think. -0.761. And this is -0.743. I'm going to put all of these at -0.761. And let's see if that ends up giving us the ability to properly steer and such. At least on flat terrain. Okay. That is much, much better in terms of maneuverability on this thing. It's still not the best in the world, but it is a significant improvement. Okay, so then the question is, if we build a boat and we get it there, and then we disembark this truck and we deliver it to its destination, we need to leave the payload in the ground. So this is a 20-ton payload. I'm bringing us to a halt right now because I want to run a quick test. So we're going to have this guy EVA. And he is clipped into the tire. Amazing. Okay, buddy. Come on out over here. Cool. So I want him to be about here. And then we're going to attach a grapple. I'm pretty sure that he can't move this. Correct. He definitely cannot move this. Yeah. He 100% cannot move that. So, obviously the correct way is to use these holes here to have a forklift to be able to, or these holes here to have a forklift to be able to move it. Or to use a crane like the one up over here. But delivery is going to be interesting. And I don't know that this is even sitting on here. I think this is straight up attached. So that's a concern. For sure. One thing we could think about, this is a weird thing that we could think about doing. But one thing we could think about doing, actually, is we could use the hydraulics in a landing leg. So something like this. We could put that, say, about here, hypothetically. I'm not sure about the angling on that. And that would open like that. Okay. That wouldn't be enough. I'm thinking instead we would want to place it here, but have it be rotated like this. Now, the main problem with that right now is that it's going to need to be moved up when it's closed, because you can see that's definitely not where we want it to be. We're going to want it to be something like here. And then we would duplicate that, and it would end up going around here. We would take that same Y position that we have here, and we would put that here. Actually, no, we wouldn't. We don't need this here. What am I talking about? We only need it on this side. So then what we would do is we would duplicate this onto the other direction. Not like that. I think we're going to have to do this manually. So we would take this and we would position it out here, right? And then we would want this to be in the same position in terms of the Z-axis and the Y-axis. The X-axis is going to be opposite, which is fine. Then the idea is, this is how we would intend to deliver this. So I don't know that this is really going to work. We might need to move them up here or even further up. But let's go ahead and put this out on the secondary runway, and I want to see, does this thing slide if we give it a good solid slope? And we could maybe use something like this as well, hypothetically. Okay, so we've got this now, right? And in theory, this should slide. But it's completely fixed. So there's that. Let's pull this back. And let's see if we can maybe find some way to make this not be quite as attached. We might need some guard struts or something like that. But I would like this to not be straight up attached here. I would like it to just rest on this. So we would position it to be X position of, not 20, X position of 0, and the Z position would be somewhere around here. And I'm noticing that these are not perfectly even. I don't know why. They're mirrored. They should be. I guess maybe this is not perfectly even, but it's okay. So I just want to have this be not attached, right? But just sitting here. Can we do that? Okay, so now in theory, this should not be attached, but is just merely resting there. So let's do this. Still not overcoming the friction. Okay. So then the question is, what if... Whoa, that's exciting. That is a lot of turning there. I think we might have to turn down the... Yeah, that's so much momentum. I think we might have to turn down the turn radius on this. This is a crazy amount of momentum. You can see that is actually moving on there now. Okay. So then the idea would be that we would bring this around. We clipped through that, which was interesting. But we would bring this around to be something kind of like this. And yeah, you can definitely see we're going to need guardrails on that. Okay. I don't know what was destroyed there. It was the cockpit. Sure. It doesn't actually matter all that much. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this to push. Yeah, you can definitely see this isn't attached. So that's interesting. So that means that what we need here is we need more. So let's actually pull this back. And I'm going to move these to be even further forward here. So these are going to end up being here, rotated like this. And we're going to need them to be pretty much even. Oh, that's interesting. This wheel... This one is even up here, but it's not even back here. I'm not sure what's going on there. Interesting. Well, we can come back to that at some point. What we really need to do here is we need to have this be in the X position of, let's go with -1, and we'll put this one at 1. And then a Y position is going to be at, I don't know, we could go with like 0.75 maybe. Like this, and then a Z position of 0. So then a Y position of 0.75. That should be semi-decent. And then we put this out on the pad, and let's see how this goes. So this is just sitting on here, and we're going to want some rails, presumably openable rails on this. That's not enough to get this to slide either. There's a lot of friction on this. No doubt about that. And the idea is that we would be able to just pull forward once we have this in position. So we need a little bit more then in order to have that slide. Okay, so that means that we need to change the positioning on these down a little bit. 0.748, really. I thought I put that at 0.5, but okay. So let's try this at just 0.7. Actually, maybe like 0.65. Okay, we'll do it like that. We might run into some issues down here, potentially, but I think it'll be fine. Still not sliding here, but I'm wondering if now, if we might be able to pull this off now that there is a significant incline here. Like it wants to come off at this point. So we'll attach a grapple and we'll just see about pulling it off of here. That's a negative. Indeed, that is a negative. Okay. What about pushing it from this side? Whoa, okay. We just impacted the tire and exploded and died at walking speed. That's exciting. Well, regardless, there's definitely some interesting options that we could do. We could build like a hydraulic pusher over here, potentially, that pushes it off and gets that process started. So that might be something that we can do too. That would look something like this. So we would take this guy here and we would rotate it to go this way, right? And then that would be moved like up over to about here or so. And then it would be like that. And then that would be operated. And let's just put this out on the runway quick and do a quick test of that. Okay, so we would angle ourselves like this, and then just push it off with the hydraulic like that. That didn't push it quite far enough, but it definitely moved it a little ways. So that's definitely progress. Interesting. And then, of course, we're going to need a boat to get us there, but baby steps, right? So that didn't push it all the way. Well, there's definitely things that we can do about this, but it is past time to put a cut in here at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next, I don't know what was up with that. Next episode, we are going to see about getting this thing finished. This aspect of it, anyway. Delivering this to the other location is going to be very, very interesting. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to handle that one yet, but we'll see. I want to test this real quick, but it is time to put that cut in. What do we got going on here? Okay. How are these hydraulics looking? That's not pushing it at all now. I guess it's just too much clipped in. Okay. Noted. Well, that's fine. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy Magar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Hiro Marutsu, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.